a return of a topic I think we've only talked about once when it was initially announced.
I don't think I was here for that.
Don't think so.
Because I read this and I was like, that's a thing?
It is a thing. We are getting an Amazon-produced Lord of the Rings TV show. Something worth watching on Prime. Now, there are a few things to watch on Prime, but not a whole lot in my opinion, especially exclusive content. But we are getting some updates about this show that they're producing. And by the way, they spent $250 million to get the rights, just on the rights for this show. And they're going to sink an additional $1 billion on, I think they're set to do 5 seasons. So they are in this for the long haul.
Like I said, don't blow it.
Don't botch it up.
We haven't even mentioned what it is yet. First of all, it's Lord of the Rings.
It's Lord of the Rings.
But don't be like The Hobbit and like crappily like CGI all your orcs if you're going to do a bunch of orcs.
No.
It's practical. Well, it is a TV show, so practical effects are going to be which is good. They're going to be like the go-to, right? I mean, because CGI
they can reuse it. They can keep reusing it. See, that's the thing about I think why practical effects, they make more sense in TV shows because you can just reuse them and from episode to episode, whereas CG, you've got to pretty much remake it fresh every time you use it.
Right, and you got a much lower budget, so there's that. And if you're going to have to be animating something over and over again.
See, the thing with The Hobbit was the reason why there was so much CG is because we've gotten to the point where in many cases, CG is cheaper than making it for real.
Unfortunately.
So that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, and it looked so bad, man.
Not all
the orcs up close, man. I didn't like it. They looked like those dudes in Infinity War, that you love so much. Those Thanos' children.
Oh gosh. I'm straight out of a World of Warcraft expansion. So, anyway, hopefully we won't see any of that in the Lord of the Rings TV series, and it's going to a lot of rumors surrounding it. It's been rumored that it's going to cover stories that we've never heard of before, so don't be worried that it's going to delve into the Silmarillion and then we're just going to be bored to tears. I don't think they're going to do that. They might mention some of that deeper lore stuff, but it seems like they're going to go for fresh stories that you better not contradict Tolkien. That's the main thing. They're going to do that. There's talking about filming in New Zealand, which, let's face it,
the goat.
It's basically the goat, greatest of all time.
The place to be for Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, I mean, why shoot anywhere else? Peter Jackson may be involved with it to some extent. I don't know what, but that'd be neat. And a lot of people have been wondering, well, if you're going to cover Lord of the Rings that doesn't take place during the time of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or anything or Silmarillion, what do you cover? Then we might have a hint. There is a rumor, again, this is all rumor and speculation, that they may have cast a young Aragorn.
Everyone's favorite from the original trilogy. There is Legolas.
He's one of my favorites.
Right. I feel like everyone really I feel like he's just a really cool guy from the first. He's kind of like that underdog, or maybe loner kind of character.
I think people can relate to Aragorn because if you're an outcast, you can relate to him. Yeah. If you feel like you haven't lived up to people's expectations of you, you can relate to him. So he's got a lot of themes.
It's like an underdog story, I guess, because he winds up being like the king of a lot of stuff, something like that. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've watched.
Right, and he's also a very righteous character. He always does the right thing. He's able to, resist the ring's temptations. Yeah. So he's got that going for him. But I've always wondered. You never see in Tolkien's writings we get told that he's a ranger. Sure. You see a little bit of ranger stuff in the extended lore, like the Shadow of Mordor games. But he
never morphed.
What do you mean? Oh.
Never mind.
It's morphin' time!
That's what we need in this show.
We need Power Rangers.
What would his mech be? Like one of those dogs? The dogs that like jumps on.
It would just be
Gimli?
a giant
It's
knight,
like a
I would think.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like a robot Balrog. Is that what it is? Balrog?
Balrog. No, that'd be the monster that he fights in it.
Oh, right.
Sure.
Make my monster grow. Oh, why did I?
And it's like Sauron and Rita like team up and all.
Sorry, you've infected me now. When I hear Ranger, that's just what I think of. I never even grew up with Power Rangers, and it's just what happens.
Well, not those types of Rangers.
No.
Just a Lord of the Rings type Ranger. They're basically kind of like mountain men who live in the wilderness,
right.
and they...
But we don't know a lot about it. That's the thing.
They do stuff.
Yeah.
They hunt things.
That's why I had to assume that he would morph, because I have nothing else to attach Rangers to, which means we need to know about it.
So we've never really seen a Ranger in their element. I mean, and Aragorn, or his Ranger name, Strider, as he's known as, which I hope they go by that. I hope they like hardly, if they never call him Aragorn, I'll be happy.
Does the show have a title?
No.
It should be called Strider, if it's made after him.
That'd be kind of neat. But there's a lot of, just unexplored territory with his time, and you would get to see. They would have to cast Arwen, of course, because that's when they fall in love. Their relationship has been going on for a long time. So I would think that you would have to have Arwen. You'd have to have Elrond. You'd have to have a lot of the elvish characters. You'd have to have dwarves. You'd have to have hobbits. You'd have to have a lot.
Yeah.
No Uruk-hai, because Uruk-hai don't show up until Lord of the Rings. But that doesn't mean you can't have orcs and goblins and all the...
practical effects orcs.
Yeah, and all the other stuff. Maybe even get a Tom Bombadil,
What?
Tom Bombadil, yeah.
What?
Yeah. He wasn't in the movies, but he's kind of like a...
Tom Bombadil?
Tom Bombadil, yeah.
Okay, I got that one right. What is he?
He's kind of like the Santa Claus of the universe. He's
eternally.
He's almost like a god figure.
And his name is Tom.
Tom Bombadil.
Weird.
Yes. Kind of crazy, kind of kooky. They gave, to make up for him not being in the movie, they gave some of his lines to Treebeard.
Oh.
So and some of his characteristics as well.
Like, what race is he then? He's nothing. He's just like a...
He kind of looks like a dwarf, but with white hair. And like just being able to like frolic through the forest with ease, and like he just seems like this unstoppable force that if you see him it's going to be a good day kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's a neat character, so maybe they could bring that in, because that's kind of been the major omission from the films. That'd be neat to see that. You gotta have, if not Gandalf, like bring in another wizard, because I mean, unless you're going to recast Gandalf as like someone younger, but he always looks the same.
Yeah.
He doesn't really age.
That'd be weird, yeah.
But I'd love to see a wizard in this.
Yeah, because the wizards are exciting, and what makes it fun.
Yeah, they're kind of like the Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Because you never know what kind of cool stuff.
In fact, I think they are Jedi.
Probably, yeah. They're the Lord of the Rings equivalent.
Right.
Are they that common though, or like how aren't wizards like?
There's only
rare?
like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
so we've already got the bird poop dude,
the brown Radagast the brown.
Yes. And then there's Gandalf, and then
Gandalf the gray, Saruman the white, and then you have the 2 blue ones that we don't see. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'm excited for this. I think now, just because they're throwing a whole bunch of money at it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to come out to be great.
Exactly.
But I like this direction. That if they choose to go with a, I would say post Hobbit but pre Lord of the Rings, kind of like a Star Wars Clone Wars situation, like where you kind of tell the tale between gaps of time in the storyline. That would be fantastic, and I think that there's a lot of room, especially for 5 seasons to cover. No problem.
Right. Just make sure that like there's enough, like the detail needs to be put into where it really feels like that's the time period it takes place in, because that's the key when you're making a something that kind of fills in a gap, is everything has to line up. and you got to make sure that you treat every element of the world like it is actually real and it actually happened.
Right. I hope they use Weta Digital again, or Weta Workshop. They're basically the people who have done all of the movies, all the effects, costumes, props, everything.
Did you like the Hobbit movies?
I did. Yeah. I thought Desolation of Smaug was the best one.
I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
I told you about how I fell asleep. Okay, yeah.
That's okay. A lot of people don't like those movies, so I think they will not go down that route that they went in for those movies. So especially if Peter Jackson's going to be back, so learn from his mistakes, I would hope.